If you really want to learn to play your minor arpeggios on the bass, might as well go small. Hi, I'm John Liebman, and welcome to another edition of The Essence of Groove. Now, last week we talked about the major chord, the major triad, and we had some fun playing the A major arpeggio on the bass. You'll recall a triad, which is a three-note chord. A major triad starts with a major third and then a minor third. So in our example of A major, we first played the A with our second finger on the 5th fret of the E string. And then we played the C sharp, which is our major third up from A, with our first finger on the 4th fret of the A string. And then we played a minor third up from that C sharp, the 5th of the chord, the E, with our pinky on the 7th fret of the A string. So our major triad sounds like this. And I showed you another shape also to play those exact same three notes, starting though with our pinky on the 5th fret of the E string. And the C sharp here, we're still going to play it on the 4th fret of the A string, but here we're going to use our third finger instead. And we're going to play the E on the 2nd fret of the D string. So exact same pitches, exact same notes, just different shapes. That's what we call shapes, the way we move our fingers. Now the minor chord is almost exactly the same as the major chord, except for one very, very significant difference, and that's the note in the middle. So the first note and the third note are the same in our example, A and E, only in a minor chord, instead of playing a C sharp, like in the major chord, we play a C natural. So in a major chord, we play major third, then minor third. In a minor chord, first we play a minor third. Did I say chord? I meant to say third. Major third, minor third. And in a minor chord, we play first a minor third, and then we play a major third. And the other shape, like I showed you last week and reviewed just now, is very similar to the shape for the major chord, except instead of playing the C sharp, we start with our pinky on the 5th fret of the E string. And instead of the C sharp here, like in a major chord, we're going to play a C natural here on the 3rd fret of the A string. Again, exact same notes. Now, as I also mentioned last week, if you've been following me for any length of time at all, or you're familiar with my stuff, you know that I believe everything should groove. Even scales, arpeggios, chromatic runs, string crossings. There's no reason that I can understand why, when you're building your technique, when you're practicing, when you're learning your scales and all those other things, why you can't do it in a way that's fun to play, that's musically satisfying, that's musically rewarding, that sounds and feels like music. Yeah, scales can groove. I do it all the time. I've got tons of digital courses and online lessons and books and all those things. That is how I teach, and that's how people play, and I think that's some of the appeal why people enjoy learning bass from that kind of approach, because it's musical and it's fun. And we did that last week with our major triad, our major chord. This week, we'll do the same thing with our minor chord. Now, I'm going to play just the notes in an A minor triad. A triad is just another name for a three-note chord. A minor triad is the minor third and the major third. So in this case, I'm going to play an A minor arpeggio. Arpeggio is just the notes of a chord played one at a time. And I'm going to play nothing but those three notes, A, C, and E, and let's see how musical we can get. Okay, just to start, I didn't practice that, I didn't write that, I just made that up on the spot because I want you to get used to doing things like that too. Take just those 3 notes. I showed you the shapes, I showed you a couple ways you can play them. You're going to stumble, you're going to make mistakes, that's fine, but get started. See what you can come up with playing with just those 3 notes. And you can play any register of the bass. You want to go up high? Okay, and you'll discover some other shapes too that you'll come up with. You say, oh, hey, that's an A or a C or an E. That works. So, hey, let me incorporate that into my musical gumbo shapes that I can play on the bass. Now, the other thing that we talked about, that I often talk about, is what I call the awesome consistency of the bass. And that means, it refers to the symmetry of the bass. The bass is the only instrument that is tuned totally symmetrically in perfect fourths, all the way up and down. A guitar is almost like that, except the guitar has a B string, that major third, which makes it ineligible for that awesome consistency 100%. So that means if you can play something anywhere on the bass, you can pretty much play it everywhere on the bass. Now, there are more chords and more keys than A minor. If we want to play an A minor arpeggio and we learn the shape of the minor chord, the minor triad, the minor arpeggio, whatever you want to call it, let's go down and play it starting on G instead of A. The relationships are the same as in all music, but here the shapes are the same also. There's only one exception here with the open string. But other than that, the shapes are 100% identical. So I showed you a couple of shapes here for the minor triad. And I reminded you that once you learn those shapes, you can play those anywhere and everywhere on the bass. I want you to try this. And there's some real discipline here, like we talked about last week also. Just when you force yourself to limit your note choices to just 3 in an A minor chord, just A, C, and E, or whatever notes are in whatever chord you want to play, whatever arpeggio you want to play. And also, if you confine it to a particular zip code on the bass or a small area of the bass, it forces you to become more creative because you have fewer notes. So you've got to come up with ways to make the music more interesting. And generally you do that by varying the rhythms, coming up with some really cool rhythmic variations that sound good and feel good. Some of them you come up with you're going to like, some of them you're going to come up with you don't like, but you got to get started. Take 3 notes and play your arpeggios. Do it slow. And then play it in other areas of the bass. Play other keys. And have fun with it. Make it musical, make it musically satisfying and enjoyable and all those things that I mentioned. And like I also said, it doesn't just happen right off the bat. You need to work on it. But now you've got a framework to go on. And I challenge you to see what you can come up with. And please let me know how you make out. Tell me about your experience. Leave a comment under this video. I read every one of them. And I think I'm 100% as far as responding to all of them as well. I really do want to hear from you because I know this stuff. I'm just trying to share it with you, share some of my experience, and I think some of the stuff here will be a lot more fun than, not that there's anything wrong with that. You should learn your scales. You should learn your arpeggios. But see, I couldn't even play it without having fun with it, but But the point is, yeah, learn that stuff, learn where the notes are, learn how to get it under your fingers, then have some fun with it, make it musical, make it groove, make it musically satisfying, musically enjoyable, all of those things. All right, I have said everything I have to say. Try it, leave a comment, let me know, look forward to hearing from you. And I've got all kinds of tips and advice for learning bass. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, be sure to do that right now. And I will see you right back here next week, same time, same place, with another edition of The Essence of Groove. In the meantime, I'm John Liebman. Let's play bass.